Welcome cartoonists, anyone for tennis. So tennis season is upon us, and if you like a game of tennis, or even if you don't, you might enjoy drawing this cartoon. I'm going to draw it as straightforward as possible. I'm doing a creature with short little arms, so we've not got all great big long arms to worry about. It's a nice easy way of drawing a game of tennis, and I thought I'd try a kangaroo. We've not drawn one of these yet. Same old thing, starting with the eye. I'm working over on the left hand side, so you can hit that tennis ball across to the other side of the page. So our eyes that we do together, long nose this time. I can just put a little shape on the air, any old small shape on the air. It can be round, triangular, whichever, because just going to colour that in black with a little shiny bit at the end. So a bit of a smile. You can make it angry if you want to. There's the bottom lip. Then we'll just carry on from the eye now to show the shape of the head around about there. It's only a cartoon kangaroo, so it doesn't have to be too accurate. Some little whiskers on there. So we're having the ears coming up. Got quite pointy ears. And I think when they're running, they go back a bit, but this is kind of a stand upright kangaroo. It's doing a nice big jump. Okay, there's the neck coming down. It's quite a long neck. So it gets a little bit tricky now. You can do the eyes last because you're not sure which direction it's going to be looking in. So stay with me here. Now this is the arm. Okay, so one arm coming round like that. So from the neck, a nice rounded shape to about there, finish about there. And we're going to have like a curly E shape there with an extra bit, and that's one of the hands or the paws of that kangaroo. I say they've got quite short arms, kangaroos, so we're making it around about there, and you can carry that curve round, and that is it. That is one arm and the head already. So on the other side, the other arm, these are just the fingers we can see. So on top of that other hand, directly above, just 3 circles on top of each other, and those are just the ends of the fingers, and that is the thumb. It'll make sense in a minute, because that's going to be holding on to the tennis racket. So they're more or less in a straight line there. That's the bottom of the tennis racket handle there, and it's reappearing at the top. And you can make the head of the racket as big as you like, and you can either go all the way around in one go, or like I'm doing it in 2 halves. There's one half going one way, and that's the other half meeting up there. And if you have got a steady hand, you can follow that line all the way around there, and that's like the frame of the racket. That's the shoulder just there. Just carry on that down, whichever gap you've got, just follow that line of the arm coming from the neck, and maybe a little bit of elbow there, and that is it for the top half, gripping onto that tennis racket. So now we'll work our way down the body, and it gets quite wider because all its muscles around about the hip and top of the thigh area. That's the back. Just below that arm there, and we'll make a nice long tail that's quite pointed at the tip, and then it comes down wider because they do lean on it quite a lot, so that's quite a big muscly tail as well. So from there we're going to work on the hips of this kangaroo, so a nice C shape there. That's one side of the hip, that's the back side of the hip. And then the front side, another very similar shape going the other way. Don't join those two up, just to leave a little gap. A little C shape there, for like it's reverse knee kind of thing. And then I'm going to go straight down with a little curved bit at the bottom there. If you want to try that leg on more of an angle, you can do. And mine's sort of jumping up straight to make a shot. So there's the bottom part of that foot and the leg. Toes are just a couple of lines, that's all you need. So I'm going to follow the line of that tail more or less up and under the arm there. So it's nice. It kind of joins from the tail. It goes, the body line disappears behind that front hip. And there's the other leg in the background. You can add some little toes there as well if you like. And if you want him jumping off the ground a little bit, just put your line a short space below those feet. So it's making kind of a jumping shot. So now the net. So I'm not far from the arm, around about there, two lines together. That's one of the posts of the net. And the one in the foreground is going to be wider and longer because it's closer to us, below that line where the shading is, to show that he's not on the edge of the court, he's around about the middle of the court. So a little N shape on the top of either one of those posts, and you can see one's right in the distance and one's really close to us. And just a line joining those two up. And then from here, this is the top of the net, it's like the white tape at the top of the net, a nice curve, and it's narrow at one end, getting wider towards this end. And you get a nice sense of perspective there. Now the middle part of the net, another piece of white tape, it's up at that far end. It's slightly lopsided because again, we're looking at it, it's wider at one end than it is the other. And if you want to put those marks in for the nets, you can do. Make them closer together at that far end and a little bit wider as you come here. And again, you get a nice sense of perspective on there. So on the other end of the court, I'm going to do a penguin, but first I'm doing some little go faster stripes for that tennis racket. There's some little movement marks here and there to show that that racket's being wafted about at a fair old rate. He's a bit overconfident, this kangaroo, because he's looking straight at us, look. There's some detail on the tennis racket, the strings. And I'm just going to do the penguin's face to start with, and I'll show you why. Because I'm making a couple of lines to trace where that ball's going. So he's hit the ball, there's a line, two lines coming together, then back up again, and there's the ball. Now that might get in the way of your penguin shape. So what I'll do, I'm going to draw the arms coming out here. I've chosen a pretty simple shape. You can draw any animals playing tennis you like if you want to give it a go. But this is a pretty simple shape for the penguin. And now here's the body. Now that line might be in the way, so instead of drawing across your cartoon, let's draw the line for the ball first, and then you can sort of fit the other character in, because it is a background character. Sorry penguin, but you are a background character. So there's the feet dangling down, again jumping off the ground, so a little bit of shading there. And he's got absolutely no chance of getting that ball back. and the kangaroos whack that ball past the poor old penguin. If you want to add any more detail, like the lines on the court, you can do. If you're big tennis fans, you'll know where they are. If you just like drawing this scene, don't worry too much about the lines. Doesn't matter, it's not important. You can work on the shading and the colouring, just make a little bit more of a scene of it. I'm just going to shade this in. You know, you might do a nice light brown for the kangaroo. Make the racket any shape you want. Any colour that you like for that racket. And again, if you want to do a bigger racket head, you can do, or smaller, completely up to you. You can alter this, change it however you like. I'm putting a little bit of shading over that net, and you can colour those posts in of the net wherever you like. There's a little handle for making the net higher or lower if you want to add some more detail. Bits of shading here and there. Put a nice yellow beak on that penguin if you like. Then the background, you can just have a couple of lines for like the borders, and a few people watching, a few spectators in the background, cheering on the penguin because I think he's struggling a little bit. Just gone mad with those little movement marks here and there, showing there's plenty of movement. That's a great shot down across the court, and I hope you've enjoyed drawing it. There's a little bit of shading for the nose. Don't forget to sign your cartoon and practice it a few times. If you don't get it right first time, watch it again, have another go. But it's a pretty action-packed cartoon. So don't forget to give us a thumbs up and send in your suggestions, and I'll see you on the next workshop.